All right, so just a heads up. Jimmy's running a little late. He forgot his wallet. Even though I told him to come at 10 to 11, um, he's always late, always. So I knew he'd be late. He's going to make his way here. He'll be here, I think, probably in the next 5 or 10 minutes or something. So in the meantime, hopefully he won't get lost trying to find his way back on campus. In the meantime, I just thought I'd let you know a little bit. I don't know how familiar are you all with the Fab Five? Is this a thing for you? This all happened before you were born, so I don't know. How many of you seen the documentary? Okay, fair number. All right. So there we go. Okay. All I really want to tell you is how it is that it turns out that Jimmy King is coming to our class, because I think it speaks to the kind of person that he is. About 5 years ago, 5 years ago, just now, I was teaching a course that I teach in the residential college called Cultures of Basketball, and I was going to have my students watch the documentary, and so I sent a tweet out to Jimmy and Jalen and asked if they wanted to come to my class. And I just thought, of course they're not going to come to my class. They're not going to even notice that. But Jimmy replied and said he'd be glad to. He's the only one of the 5 who's still local. So he replied, and we worked it out so he could come to my class. And he was really amazing, really generous with the students. He was very candid. He'll answer any question you have. So you should bring what you have to ask. What you want to know, you should ask. He'll answer questions. He'll argue. And he will inspire. He was a great mentor to those students 5 years ago. And then he has come every year since. In that class, we do an end-of-semester intra-class 3-on-3 tournament, and he has played in every one of those tournaments on my team. So he's a very generous individual. And so when I said a couple weeks ago that I think of him as a University of Michigan treasure, I really mean it. In athletics, we admire the students who represent Michigan in different athletic competitions, and alumni admire them, and they generate donations for the university. And that is all really a service, and that's great. But to have somebody 20 years, now 25 years later, who in many ways kind of was on the wrong end of the system of intercollegiate athletics, still feel a loyalty and an allegiance to the students at the university and a desire to give something back to them, I think is really remarkable. He doesn't get paid to do this, just like he didn't get paid to play ball when he was here, even though he was part of generating revenues and opening the door to licensing and merchandising and all those kinds of things. So, so I hope that you will appreciate the time that he gives us here today and make the most of it. In the meantime, I thought, until he gets here, any questions for me? I mean, I'm not Jimmy King, even though I'm wearing his jersey today. But I can answer questions. You can ask me anything. Yes? Sorry? Did Russ Westbrook win my MVP vote? No, LeBron is the MVP. Good question, though. Yeah, I'm taking the unpopular vote. Other questions? Yes?
You talked about how you had a kind of relationship with LeBron, having bought his jersey. So I just wanted to know, how does it feel to like have Jimmy King's jersey and at the same time have
That's a really good question, actually. I've been very torn about I'm always torn about buying Michigan gear. I don't buy it, typically. I think I've bought 2 items in my 25 years at the school for the reasons we talked about, because, you know, that money isn't going where I think it should go. So I've been torn about that. I actually have in my pocket a check that I'll give Jimmy for this jersey, so that the money goes where it's supposed to go, because I think it's important to do things right. And, you know, really that check should be coming from Michigan to Jimmy, but, you know, I can't control that part. So, so it's exciting. And I texted him a picture of it. He said it looked fresh. So that's goes a long way for me. It's important. I'm a fan. I mean, he's a friend, and I admire him, but I'm also, you know, I was a fan. They played some incredible basketball, and they brought me a lot of joy with that. And so, you know, I'm not above trying to get close in whatever way I can. Yes, sir.
What's the one thing you miss about not teaching here anymore?
What will I miss about not teaching here? Honestly, all of you, the students. That's what is the most rewarding part of this job by far. The rest of it I could totally do without. But I really appreciate the conversations with students, getting to know students, the willingness of students to share themselves with me, to trust their minds and their hearts with me. That's an amazing experience. And then to follow students in their lives after they leave college and see them make their way, to see them struggle and succeed and all of that, that's what it's all about. Yeah, so I will definitely miss that. And I know that I hear Oberlin College also has students, so I know there will be new students, but I also know that it's a different kind of place and that the students will be different, and so that experience will be different as well, you know. So there's something special about this place that's quite unique. Thanks for asking that. Yeah. What do I plan on doing today? Well, I'm going to hang out with my guy Jimmy. He's coming to all my classes, and then I'll take him out to lunch. This is actually not my very last day. It's just the last day for this lecture. I still got to teach on Wednesday. But on Wednesday, I'm probably just going to kind of party in class. Just take it easy, you know. But it's a good way to go out. Yeah? I'm sorry? Oh, so I had to make 2 brackets. I made a heart bracket and a head bracket. In my heart bracket, I had Michigan winning. And in my head bracket, I had Gonzaga winning against UNC. So I was close. I did pretty well in that bracket, but obviously, you know, I didn't do it right. And my heart bracket, if it hadn't been for how well Michigan played, would have been even worse. My heart is an idiot. Other questions? Yes?
I can't remember the players' names, but there's a couple players at OSU a few years ago who were suspended for like selling jerseys or something. Just, do you have any insight?
Where? Oh, Ohio State. Yeah, what about that?
I was just curious what you think about like
Players selling jerseys?
yeah.
They like sold like bowl rings and stuff for tattoos.
I mean, I don't really see what the problem is. The question was what I think about, you know, there was a thing a few years ago where Ohio State players were selling jerseys of theirs and I guess some rings maybe also, yeah. And the question was, what do I think of that? And I think it's fine. I just don't see why that should be an issue. I was just this weekend attending a musical performance at Oberlin. Oberlin has a musical conservatory attached to the college, a really well-known conservatory, so where students study musical performance. And these students were playing with a world-class violinist who's a friend of my wife's. And it turns out these performances were unpaid, but they are going to be playing the same piece with her when it premieres kind of worldwide in California this summer, and they'll get paid. These musicians who are college students will get paid to do the thing they do. So I was talking with the conductor and saying, you know, that's interesting. Like, they will not renounce their amateur status. They can still come back and play amateur gigs at Oberlin College and enjoy the experience of being in college. And when they're playing in venues in which somebody's getting paid, they will also get paid. It seems so simple. I just don't really see why that isn't. It can happen in any other kind of endeavor. Yeah.
Do you feel conflicted about like watching college sports, knowing that some of the money that like TV money goes towards schools, not athletes?
Yes. Do I feel conflicted watching college sports, knowing what I know about how the revenues are distributed? Yeah, I feel conflicted. But you know, the people that I watch playing are my students, and I care about them, and I want to support them in that way, you know, and that feels ultimately more important to me than making a stand by not turning on the television or going to the game, especially when my doing that is not going to change that system. Seems more important to just show the kind of affirmative support. But it's always a conflict.
Do you have a favorite memory from your 25 years here?
A favorite memory from my 25 years here? There are many. It's very hard to choose one. I was very, very happy when my team won the 3-on-3 tournament a few years ago. Was that your year? It was, right? Yeah, how'd your team do, Andrew? Not great, right? But my team really killed it. Yeah. I was kind of unstoppable, too. I remember that year. Yeah. So that was good. I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing the Fab Five Roundtable event last fall. That was really exciting and meaningful. To see that at least in some quarters of the university, resources would get put behind an honest kind of discussion about that team. So that was good. But, you know, there are also just countless moments in class that of students just suddenly kind of engaging and making a leap of some sort. You know, it might not have anything to do with the academic content of the course, but you just see a leap. That's awesome. Yes, in back. Do I think they should hang the banners from the Fab Five in Chrysler? Yes. I was just having a conversation about that this morning with the athletic director. And I do think they should do that. Yeah. I doubt that they will, but you never know. What do you think? You think they should? Yeah. I mean, my feeling is that they should do something. You know, there may be institutional reasons why actually putting the banners up in Chrysler isn't workable. I mean, they came down as part of a kind of legal agreement between the university and the NCAA. So reversing that agreement would entail drawing up a new agreement. And so how possible that is, I don't know. But what I've said to Ward and to anybody else, besides I think they should hang the banners, is that rather than pretend this didn't happen, it would be good to have some sort of exhibit in which the banners and all kinds of other things associated with the Fab Five and those teams would be kind of set up in Chrysler and give people going through an opportunity to recognize their athletic accomplishments, their cultural and political and social importance in the landscape of sports and just American society at the time, and also learn about Michigan's complicity as an institution with the system of big-time college sports as a sector of the entertainment industry. And that would include, you know, the scandal and Chris Webber's accepting loans and just everything. Just kind of lay it all out and say, yeah, this is part of what we do. It's part of our history. It seems like an academic institution should have that much integrity, and I think it would set a powerful example for students and for faculty and everybody, because like, who doesn't have something in their past that they feel a little shitty about? Like, everybody does. But you know, the way to deal with that is not to pretend it didn't happen. So, hey, there's my man. What's up? It's good to see you. How are you? Great. Good. I got a mic for you. Thank you for coming. All right. As for you, it's on.
It's on.
Yeah.
All right. So,
So I've been talking. We've been talking. We were actually just talking about the banners.
okay.
Somebody.
All right.
I was just kind of killing time,
Okay.
warming up for you.
All right.
And somebody asked, "Do I think the banners should hang?" And I said I thought they should, but that I thought it would be a difficult process, but that there might be other ways too to recognize the team. So, but what I really want to do is just open it up. I told them that you would answer questions,
Okay.
argue with them, inspire them. So the floor is open for you all. I'm just going to take a seat over. You
All
can
right,
sit wherever
so,
you want, or you stand, or do what you feel, Jim.
This is sturdy. This is sturdy. So, any questions? I mean, I guess Yago, you know, gave you guys some of my background.
They've seen the doc, most of
They've seen the documentary. Are there any questions that you have about the time, the era, you know, kind of how we came about making decisions, what was important to us, our legacy, anything to that nature? Yes, sir.
You guys were seen as like superstars and just like worldly figures. What was the transition like going out of college into like another life where you're not like the focus of attention at all times?
You might want to
So,
repeat that.
so the question was, you know, how do we handle the transition from being, I guess, wildly popular as a college or athlete to transitioning to after athletics where you're not as popular. And for me personally, it's an easy transition when you're able to keep in mind who you are and not who people think you are. When you know that you're just a normal person that has a gift that people are attracted to, that it's easy to, you know, keep your wits or sense about you or sensibility about you, about who you really are when you step outside the arena. So for me personally, it really wasn't a big transition, but for a lot of my friends, you do get addicted to 20,000 people screaming for you. Get addicted to the adrenaline of actually playing the game in front of that crowd. I think that's what more people are more addicted to or have a harder time transitioning out of versus, I guess, you know, any other factors that you could, you know, kind of think of.
Over here.
How much of the media attention on you did you actually like focus on? Like, how much did you read about yourself? Like, follow-up question to that is like, who came up with the name of the Fab Five? Like, was it you guys or someone else put on you?
So the first question is, how did we come up with the Fab Five name? Or what was your first question?
Or who came up with it?
How much did the media? Okay, so, well, The Fab Five was totally the media. That wasn't us. Does that sound corny? Fab Five? That's corny. Look, give yourself the name of Fab Five. How corny is that? You know, so what we did was come up with our own name, which was 5 times, or 5 times 1. And the reason why we came with that with that name is because, for a couple of reasons, the 5 of us will come together as, you know, basically one group or one ultimate player, you know, kind of like Voltron. I mean, you remember that show, you know, where the 5 pieces come together and, you know, you become this one giant entity. So that was the idea behind the name of 5 times. And also, it was the number 5 with the letter X and then the number 1, and the X because of, you know, kind of a play off Malcolm X with the no identity, you know, given ourselves our own name and not being branded by the media. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about recruiting, how you got recruited to Michigan?
Recruiting. So the question is how I got recruited to Michigan, and this is going to sound. This is also going to sound corny, but this is the truth. Me personally, when I was fortunate enough to be recruited by almost every school in the country, so there were a lot of processes that were followed, and
Wait, can I interrupt a second?
yeah.
What you all don't know, probably most of you, is that Jimmy was also academically superior. So he also, and this might have been part of what you were going to say, but knowing you, I doubt it. You know, there were also opportunities to play at Ivy League schools or at MIT, and he had a real serious interest in his studies. So there was a real kind of tension there, I think, with some of the, with that kind of array of options.
So I had the luxury of seeing being recruited academically and being recruited athletically. And so most times they don't know one of the other, they're siloed. So Harvard, MIT, you know, schools like that are knocking at my door like, okay, you qualify academically, but oh, you also play basketball, and then basketball, they'll come recruit me and be like, oh, you're a great basketball player. Oh, your grades are this, you qualify for that. So I got to see both worlds, and the reason why I chose Michigan is because it was a marriage between both worlds, in my opinion, but also the biggest thing, and this is the thing that I've never really told to many people, is that I chose Michigan because Michigan is the only school that didn't offer me anything.
Meaning anything under the table.
Under the table or over the table. Michigan was like, we'll promise you a great education and a good experience. Everybody else came with the, well, white on white candy bins, or, you know, like G4, or, you know, I mean, like, seriously, it was off the charts. Like the black bag you hear about, that's real. So for me, the separation, you think about it, if everybody comes to you the same way and that one person comes to you differently, it's going to stick out to you. And I did my research and homework, and that was the difference for me, for Michigan.
Can you talk a little bit about, like, from when you just got to Michigan, like, through, like, now, what's your relationship with the other guys that were on the team? What's that like?
It's a brotherhood. It's a brotherhood. It's a brotherhood, and to this point, going from here to now, I was just with Ray this weekend, and Jay, I'll see him tonight, actually. He's flying in right now. The only difference is now that I think the bond that we have isn't just basketball and the history that we made together. It's being there and being being like a brother, just being like a family member for his daughters or their sons, you know, really truly stepping into the role of adulthood. Being on campus, we don't really have a lot of responsibilities. I mean, your responsibility is to get to class, do your work. You know, you may have rent, and then, you know, some living expenses, but hopefully you have some help. And that is what we relied on each other for, was to help each other. If I got it, you got it. And so that's what we're trying to kind of show as who we are and what we do as adults now. So I don't know if that kind of answered your question, but that's kind of how it's similar, but our focus is just a little different from, I guess, being basketball non-paid entertainers to adults trying to create a community spirit across a broad base of people.
Vince.
What's going on?
How was your experience just throughout the hypeness and throughout getting super famous? How was your experience among your brothers and your teammates, and how did throughout that experience that it kept you all so close together and tight as a close group of friends?
I think the thing that kept us close together is it was the genuineness between us that I think kind of permeated through our performance on the court. I think, you know, you can't fake that type of connection and bonds. And of course, you know, everything isn't perfect, everything wasn't perfect, but I think the common bond that that drew us together was strong enough to make us put any of those things aside. And, you know, even now to this day, we still have some issues between us, but I still hold out hope that, you know, we are smart enough, we are, you know, mature enough to handle these situations and to, you know, whether it's 10 years or 100 years, that we keep working to better the situation and to better ourselves. You know, it's just like, you know, I was fortunate enough to speak with some guys from NASA this weekend, and, you know, what it made me realize is that they may be working on something all day, every day for the rest of their lives, but it may not even, their work may not be recognized until they're long gone. Yeah. And so I think that's, you know, kind of collectively what we are, what we do, what are we going to leave as our legacy together, you know, for this era, because it's so wide open right now. And, you know, with all these collective, intelligent, bright minds in here, we can do something historically that always has been done here. The University of Michigan is rich in history and changing courses of political and economical type of dissensions and kind of limbo or gray areas. We've always been leaders into directions of which way to go.
At the time, did you guys realize the social impact that you were making? Or did that kind of come after?
We were. That's the reason why we chose to wear black shoes, black socks, and cut our heads bald. That was to show, like, okay, we were conscious. We were conscious of what's going on with NCAA rules and the student athletes, and how the perception of being a scholar athlete and being this high level person is personified and is looked upon outside as something to be cherished, but really when you're in it and involved, you're a slave. You're dictated by the time, like today, the typical day today would be, and this is, and Yago doesn't know this, I used to come in here, and that back row back there, 8 o'clock in the morning, I would be so tired, but I still showed up for class because I had to work to keep my scholarship. I slept back there, but at least I was here in class. But it wasn't because I was trying to be disrespectful. It was because my schedule. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. I probably had just finished doing a 20-page paper at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Then I had class from 8 to 2. Then I had practice from 3 to 6. Then I had study table from 7 to 8. Then I had a training table study 7 to 8. Then I had training table or study table from 8 to 10. And then I had the rest of the work that I had to finish, which would take me to 2, 3 in the morning trying to finish and type a paper. That was a typical day.
That's why I don't wake up the ones that fall asleep.
Yeah, so, yeah. Like, I didn't want to be disrespectful and fall asleep right here in the front. I at least just showed up and went to sleep in the back. But the professor was cool. Like, he understood and was like, I mean, you know. But that is the reason why we were conscious in making a statement, just to expose some of the things that were going on, because everybody just knew we were getting it all, and we weren't.
I have a question about the documentary. What were your initial thoughts when like it came to you on it? Did you guys meet like as a group decide to do it, and were you like satisfied with it?
You know, okay. So my initial thoughts are this, right? From the education that I got from getting recruited, going to my experience here, my learning experience here, and my professional experience. From that time to being asked to do the doc, my first thought was royalties. If they're going to make this documentary, eventually they're going to sell it. If they're going to sell it, we need to get a piece of that, which in the form of royalty dividends, like whatever, because part of my education after that was heavy in finance. So that's where my mind went, and that was part of the negotiation for me. So I made sure I brought it to the team, like, look, this is what we got to make sure that we take care of if we want to do this, or if they want us to do this. And when we threw that out on the table, they were going to make a documentary anyway. So we decided to participate in it, to make it a good one that we can use to market for ourselves.
And what are your thoughts on whoever not being involved in the documentary, and is it for reasons that they actually said?
Yeah, we offer. I put it to you like this, and I told Jalen this yesterday because I did Jim Rohn's show last week, and we were talking about why he couldn't come here for the bicentennial celebration this weekend. He was like, you know, just to be clear, the narrative is that I don't want to be there, I can't be there because of my schedule. So when people say we reached out to Jalen Rose but he declined, is kind of not true. They reached out to him, but he declined because of his schedule. And so, you know, I got off track. What's your question again? What was your question?
How was actually only 4 of you
That
Chris in the
participated in.
documentary.
So so everything that we do, I said what I said to say that we always discuss what we're going to do, and we always invite Chris.
We did last fall.
We invited Chris to the symposium last fall. He was invited to the Bison. He's invited to everything. We don't ever not invite him. He just doesn't respond or declines. And nobody really knows when he decides to let us know. I guess he will. The way that I look at it now, handle it now, you know, it's been 25 years since the first time we walked on campus. At this point, as being a grown man, it's asinine to me to really continue to answer questions about another grown man.
Exactly.
That's the best answer I could give you.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think college athletes should be paid?
Hell yeah. I bet you if you ask any, are you an athlete? Okay. Do you think they should be paid? Probably. Okay, so I'll put it to you like this. Do you have a job? You will in the summer? But you can't, can you, but you choose, you can have a job now, right?
Yeah, I could.
You could. The athlete during the season cannot. So how do you live? You gotta, so then what is it? Like, you're good enough to, you know, come out and perform on the field or on the court or whatever, but after that, you gotta fend for yourself.
I was telling them before you got here that this weekend in Oberlin, Claire and I saw a musical performance from the conservatory there. And those college musicians, when they play with professional ensembles, they get paid.
They get paid.
If there's a gate,
Right.
they get paid for it. And then they can still obviously be in college, play their
Right.
recitals on campus and all
Right.
that stuff. as
And
usual.
so with that example, why not? I just don't understand, right? When you really look at the economics, why you wouldn't want in just good conscience pay them. Everybody got paid at the Final Four, except the players. The arenas was full, everybody, vendors got paid, except for the players. But the argument that we always hear is about the scholarship, but really that's not a free scholarship. You earn the scholarship. Yeah. Because you have to sign every year. Every year you have to earn that scholarship. If you don't perform or they feel like they could get someone better, they will. And then we'll always hear that story about somebody transferring or whatever, but really it was a business decision. So, and just the short answer, yes, I think college players should get paid. I think there's enough money economically to do so. I am aware now too that players do get a little extra. They do now a little more, but I just think that's another quick fix.
You get right there.
I was wondering, how do you propose that athletes get paid exactly? I know that you want them to be paid, but do you propose like some monthly stipend, like I don't know, $500 a month during the season? Would it be an entire year thing, only during the season? And do you think it should like vary based on like jersey sales and like play time and like how big your name is in the university?
No, they don't look at it. They don't break it down that way when when the athletic department looks at how they budget all the athletics, it's the same. When you look at the spreadsheet, all right, you have your losses, you have, your gains, all right, just a simple budget, all right, if you just look at a simple budget, you can clearly point to where you're losing money, where you're gaining money, and you can also look to how to fund the entities that support that. And so instead of lining, I'll make it even simpler. We have two of the highest paid coaches in the NCAA right here on campus. They found that money pretty quick, didn't they? So to me, it says that they're willing to fund whatever they deem important. So without getting into, the how to pay, I believe that we can collectively come up with a way. I can think of 10 different ways we could do it. And it will make sense. Everybody may not be happy, but that's what we're going to run into. But as long as we make sure that the kids are not taken advantage of monetarily, it can be done. But to break down a way to do it, I think it's real simple. When you look at all of the sales, jersey sales, ticket sales, arenas, endorsements alone can pay for half of it. TV contracts, just have a student union or a representative come to the table to, cut out a portion for the athlete. It's a business. It has to be treated as such. It's hard to run a business with the guise of a nonprofit, but it's a for-profit business. So then when you start thinking about the laws that, you have to kind of come under, they kind of contradict themselves. So, without going to, because that question I would love to answer, but that's going to take a long time. That's a deep question.
Part of it is that there's not much transparency in terms of the finances either. So you can go online and you can see the numbers that the athletic department submits to the Department of Education and how allocations are made, but that doesn't tell the whole story, let alone the numbers that are submitted to the NCAA. So there's all kinds of transfers that occur within the institution also, say between the athletic department and housing, right? That wind up looking like things are costing the athletic department money, but they're not really costing the athletic department money. So that's a big issue, I think, is, for me anyway, as I try and look into this kind of thing, is, well, getting to really see the numbers in a realistic way can be really helpful. That's like
right, and
Andy Schwartz.
that's the professor way to say it. No, really, that's the best way to say it. That's the best, because everybody can understand that, and that's exactly what it is. It's designed to not look the way that it is. So just like, Yago was saying, the budgets, and that's why I said we could do a simple budget. We could follow the money and see where it goes. And then when we look inside of where that money goes, then you will be able to see, oh, I see now how the money is being funneled into other areas to make it look like there's no money, but they're spending the money to make so the books look different, right? But they're able to still take home these enormous paydays.
You should check out the work of, there's a sports economist and lawyer named Andy Schwartz, who's done a lot of really good work kind of, at least at some institutions, really painstaking work of just tracking that down and showing how some of these dynamics work. And I'm sure they work. He hasn't worked on Michigan's numbers, but I'm sure they're similar.
We talked in this class about like the stat that like 1% of athletes generate like 90% of the revenue. So would you lean more towards like a capitalistic pay for athletes, where the guys who generate the most money make the most money, or would you want something that's more balanced? Like, which way would you lean?
It would have to be balanced, because if we go the trickle down economics, it will, you know, that's subjective. I mean, who's going to determine who's the elite athlete? Because then at that point, what they're going to do, or what I can foresee happen, is that you're going to have major corporations just go to that athlete and just be like, you know what, separate yourself from that. We'll pay you, we'll triple what they're paying you. Those kids, they're not coming, that will just put another silo in between the amateur and the pro, and then now you got intermediate.
It also doesn't, like when we were talking about those numbers, to put them in context, they don't really take into account the fact that standout individual performers in team sports are also aided by the efforts of their teammates, who may not be kind of media celebrities, right? And that athletes in so-called non-revenue generating sports are still revenue generators for the university in all kinds of ways, partly by the alumni donations that they attract, but also because of the funds transfers that occur within the institution. So they can make more money off a half scholarship women's lacrosse player than they can off of, say, a student who's not an athlete who's coming in and staying in the same residential hall. So there's a number of different ways that really just pegging it in an entirely kind of free market way would kind of obscure or exacerbate inequities in the system already, I think. There's one back here. Oh, yeah, Kayla.
The worst way? The worst way, and let me pull this up, because I got this, what's today? It's Monday? I got this Saturday. One of the worst ways that I was exploited was, yeah, no, it's in here. Here it is. Was, oh God, yeah. So today, when you see Nike, Adidas, Under Armour sponsoring schools, it's normal. It's like that's the norm. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, to get a Nike contract was like, you're it. Like, that's why they came back and was like, you know what? Y'all started it. We got to rebrand it. Y'all are it again. So what that was like is you had Nike come here with duffel bags as big as this table, set it in front of us and tell us, you know, whatever y'all pick, that's what we're going to push. So in our mind, we're like, okay, well, that's cool, but the reason why y'all are doing that is because y'all are basically treating us like unpaid consultants. Y'all want us to go dig through the stuff y'all can't figure it out, and then put it on us, and then y'all are going to sell it. How do we benefit from that? So when we called the meeting, right, because ain't no way no kids are supposed to call a meeting. So when we called the meeting, one, they declined it. The second time, we was like, oh, okay, well, y'all gonna ignore us? We're gonna ignore you. Then it was like, okay, well, we'll take the meeting. In the meeting, we asked them, is it possible that since we are working for you essentially, that we can develop a stipend. We understand the rules. We don't have to take any money now, but when we graduate or at the end of the year or something, whatever. They didn't even want to have the conversation. They literally stood up and walked out the room. So that was the biggest exploitation to me, which really was the best business experience and lesson to learn.
It's noon. That's the end of class.
Okay.
They gotta go.
Another class.
Yeah. Thank you guys for a fantastic semester. Really appreciate you. And good luck, and if you need anything, just hit me up. I got you.
This is my water. Thank you. Yeah, bro. I'm sorry, man. No, thanks, my brother. Good to see you. Thank you. Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna be on time this time, and then I walked out. No, this is what happened. No, this is what happened.